there. Yes, the title of my talk is about the tree that y'all have seen on Facebook that took a great plunge in the great rain of Monday here in Dallas, Texas. I'm happy to report that the city of Dallas has taken care of a chunk of it, and that I'm invoking the idea of perhaps some chainsaw fairies coming along this weekend and making nice, safe, neat piles for themselves and others of logs to pick up with what remains. And maybe there's some firewood for somebody, or somebody gets inspired to take their chainsaw and carve something amazing, and there you go. Investigate, say what you want, dream what you want, and maybe the chainsaw fairies will show up. But that isn't really what I'm here to talk to you about this week. The tree going over was perhaps just indicative of what a week can look like when a lot of things, and this is not just me, this is for all of us, when a lot of things start to pile up. Phone calls you get of things that get rescheduled, checks don't show up that you're looking for. Maybe you've had a spat with your partner or your spouse and it doesn't seem like you're being heard. Perhaps you get a phone call or a text completely out of the blue that said someone you knew a few years ago has left the planet and died far, far, far too young before he even had an opportunity to really experience life. So when the massive tree falls, which of course is our metaphor for today, what do you do next? Now that it's fallen, now what do you do? Well, it's interesting. Part of what the tree symbolizes too is outreach. And when we're in those moments where in the midst of all the chaos, we're also challenging ourselves to something greater, to strive bigger, to do something that feels like the big scary. Ooh, the big scary. What can we do to help ourselves in the process? Well, I found myself coming upon yet another comforting passage. And again, yes, you know it's coming, everybody. The Daily Flame, Dr. Lisa Rankin. And again, she speaks in the voice of what she calls your inner pilot light. So that still small voice inside us, that voice of our gut, our intuition, by whatever name we call it. She happens to call it our inner pilot light. And she writes in the first person with inner pilot light speaking to us. And tonight I'm going to share number 140 with you, page 155. And this particularly goes to those of us who are having tree falling, what feels like a tree falling moment, but perhaps it's in the form of taking on something new, taking on something new, something that's perhaps a little scary, challenging ourselves to evolve and keep taking the steps that we can. Here we go. It says, my love, take one step and notice that the world doesn't suddenly explode. Then take another step and look around. Chances are good right now, in this moment, at least here in the United States right now, there are no bombs, no guns, no starvation, no life-threatening illness or dismemberment. And this is me saying by taking that step. No one is dying right this second. Things are still fine in this moment, right here, right where you're standing in that moment. Now keep walking further. Look left, look right. The coast is still clear. The voice of your fearful parts will perpetually tell you to play it safe. Not because these parts know the best way to live, but because these young, fearful parts simply don't like change. Not even exciting, uplifting change. Can anybody relate to that? Yes! Don't try demonizing those fearful parts or telling them they have to get the hell out of Dodge. It won't work, you'll just scare them more. Thank them for trying to protect you. Befriend them and try to earn their trust. See if they'll let me take a stab at keeping us safe for a change. You and I know that nobody ever lived a rich, full life without embracing uncertainty, accepting change, and taking risks. But those fearful parts aren't so sure they agree. We have to show them that we can do this differently. Scared of being reckless? Think you have to let those sweet little fearful parts take the wheel in order to stay safe? Trust me instead. My guidance will keep you far safer than those cute, overprotective little fearful parts ever will. Playing in it's even safer. Signed, your inner pilot light. Yes, we all have fear, folks. I know I sure do. And fear is just letting us know, at its core, fear is just letting us know that this is some new territory that we're engaging in. Doesn't mean we can't, just means we haven't. And it's a big old high alert. And it comes up in really interesting voices that are unique to each and every one of us. So before we let those little fearful parts continue to hold us perhaps small, let's take a big breath. Let's dial into the voice of truth, as Gandhi called it. Take a breath and listen well, and know that when we take the step that we can, even if it feels scary, even if it looks like a tree that's fallen down and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? We know that we can. We know that we're safe. We know that, more importantly, that we're actually supported in all of this. So, brave ones, go take the step that you can, even if your big tree's fallen down. Because you know something? You just never know what that big fallen tree might manifest. And yes, there are stories for later because, boy, are they funny. Anyway, dream well, step bravely, lean in. Peace to y'all. Oh, by the way, it's Nancy Hart, Whole Heart Evolution. I'll see you next week. Take care, dears. Bye-bye.